Did you hear that? It's the refreshing snap of a peach honey fizzy water. New brand, people. LaCroix is so 2019. This is Aha. Let's see if it's any good. Aha. I see where it gets its name. What's up, developers? How's it going? TGIF. This wonderful, beautiful fall afternoon for some of us, early Saturday morning for some of us, sometime on Friday. Interesting topic today, based on a real thing that happened in the RTC Discord the other day. Some person was really, I don't want to say distraught, but this person was kind of perplexed because they had a nice portfolio, but they're not getting a callback. So we're going to talk about some methods, techniques, and strategies this person may be able to employ to start getting some more callbacks. And definitely this is not a unique situation, unfortunately. I've met lots of developers, and I'm sure many of you out there too have met at least a couple of developers who are really producing some great work, but are having some issues connecting with employers. So before we get into it, let me get into my control panel here and make sure you can hear me, because last time there was a little bit of an audio issue, which we fixed with the help of some viewers. It wasn't too bad. It was just for all my audio geeks out there. It was a hard left pan, and that's not good. How's everyone doing? Talk to me. Randy Miller and Donovan, hello. You guys are so awesome. Donovan and Randy are two channel members, as you can see by the candy and green font in their name. Big time supporters of this channel. They make these videos happen. So thanks, channel members. Candace, I know you're out there somewhere. She's probably hard at work. Dr. Candace is doing some crazy stuff in the machine learning sector, or sub-discipline, or sub-career, or however you want to call it, when we're talking about software. She's doing some really cool stuff. She's always working and always doing stuff. Who else do we have? Paradoodly Doo, our awesome mod. You hear that? Okay, great. Mandandar, what's going on? What's my Discord channel? One of our mods will share it. Stephanie Fernandez, what's going on? Caitlin, hello, happy Friday, TJF. Some new faces in the chat tonight. We started a little later. We usually start around 4 p.m. CST. It's 6-ish, 6:06 CST. Did I say PST? I meant CST. We usually start around 4. It's a few hours later, but just trying to make it a little more accessible for people who still might be at work around 4 o'clock CST. All right. So today's topic, the person's portfolio is nice, but can't get a callback. We're going to get into it. I know. Come on, RTC, stop babbling. I have to make an announcement. The stuff we talk about today, because there are literally like probably 47 places where I can plug RealToughCandy.io. But I'll just say this and we'll get it out of the way. If your portfolio, sorry, I made a weird mouth noise. If your portfolio needs some revamping, we have a course just for that. It's called Portfolio Surgery. It's on RealToughCandy.io. I show you 5 strategies for revamping your portfolio. If you have cookie cutter projects, if you have projects that are boring, projects that maybe just aren't doing it for you or not doing it for employers, check out that course. 5 proven methods. It will completely transform your portfolio, and I show you how to do it. It can be applied to any portfolio out there. We also have another course, How to Get a Job in Web Development. That was a course that used to be on Udemy, and it has the honor of having Firewall 5 reviews, 5-star after 5. So the average rating on that course before I pulled it off of Udemy was 5 stars. It's hard to do. It's a web developers. It's a tough crowd. It's a tough crowd being out here, but that course had 5-star average rating, a 5-star average rating. And it's now only exclusively 100% on RealToughCandy.io. That's How to Get a Job in Web Development. If you're wondering how to get more callbacks, interviews, and job offers, that's the course that's going to do it for you. And again, in this with this topic, I could literally mention it 47 plus times today, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to mention it this once. Number 3, we also have a featured course for October, Freelance Newbie. That was also on Udemy. That was pulled from Udemy. It has a few updates. and some other extras on the platform, RealToughCandy.io. If you want to start your own freelancing business, maybe start it as a side hustle, maybe work up to some real nice money. However you're envisioning it, Freelance Newbie is going to help you get there, and it has. It's helped over 1,000 people on Udemy start their freelance career. But again, I want to emphasize it's not on Udemy anymore. It's only on RealToughCandy.io. All right, that big announcement is out of the way. Number 2, Portfolio Surgery is also a book coming up in November. Paradoodly-doo, drop that link. Portfolio Surgery is a book. If you're not a course type of person, we also have it on book. Again, that is going to help you revamp your portfolio. All right, enough self-promotion. Let's talk about this situation. Welcome to the RTC Situation Room. Here is what is going on. A few nights ago in our Discord, we had a visitor. We have a new member who explained, I don't know where this person, I don't know any background details about this person, except for what they shared in the Discord. Here's what they told me in a nutshell. They have a really nice portfolio. I did not see this portfolio. This is what I've been told. They have a nice portfolio, great projects. Everything's good to go with that. But when this person is applying to jobs, the potential employers are not even clicking on this person's portfolio. They're not even making it to that stage in the hiring process or in the candidate process, whatever you want to call it, because it's not really the hiring process at that point. It's the scouting process, maybe the discernment process, the discernment phase. And someone asked, well, how do you know they're not looking at your portfolio? Like, you're not there. Well, this person has analytics enabled, so when they send their application materials, they can see like the heat. I don't know if it's a heat map or whatever, but in some way they can see who's clicking what and what they're not clicking. And the employers are not clicking on this portfolio. What's going on? Well, in this live stream, we're going to talk about some ideas for getting employers to start clicking, because that's really where it all starts. And that is what drives web. I mean, this is such an interesting topic because web development in 2020 going into 2021, and this has been the case for many years, it's about designing things and developing things that make people click. The things that make people click are the things that make billions of dollars. The reason we get paid 6 figures is because people click and they tap. And the click has manifested itself in different methods and different processes. So we don't necessarily have to click something to make something happen. With IoT, we can use our voice. With some adaptive technologies, people can use their eyes to activate things, to serve as a click. But the click is more, it's more than just going like this. That's one way of clicking. And when you convince someone, clicks are so valuable. They're so valuable. What PPC, pay per click, right? Is it, am I right here? Am I right with this PPC thing? Pay per click? When people click something, that can mean it's a lead. That can mean someone added something to the cart. That can mean someone signed up for a service or a product. I mean, we have this thing. There's this marketing tool that has made this guy billions of dollars, I'm sure by now. He's written multiple books. They're all bestsellers. Russell Brunson, he's the founder of ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels. It's this huge marketing suite. I don't use it. But it's funny because you can always tell a ClickFunnels site because they're designed to maximize your clicks. And so if we apply this mentality to our job application process, we can see it's really about our employers clicking on us. Click on me. It's all about the clicks, baby. It's all about the clicks. How do you get them to do or tap with your application materials? Now, with this person, they have Now, again, I haven't seen the portfolio, but let's just assume it's a good portfolio. Let's just assume it's a good portfolio. That is what they mentioned in the Discord. My portfolio is, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was good. My portfolio was good. They're not even getting to that stage. What are some things that are preventing employers from getting to that stage? Let's discuss, because this is the critical component. This is the critical protein of this live stream. So let's talk about the flow, the application flow. That's not a word. Under normal circumstances, you probably go to a job board. Maybe you're on LinkedIn, maybe you're on Indeed, whatever. You find a job that you like or find interest in, you hit apply. And that's when it starts. That is when it starts getting serious, because at that point, you've clicked and now you're making the investment. And this is something to remember for aspiring job seekers, aspiring junior developers, is that when someone clicks on your name or someone clicks on their inbox to check out your resume or your cover letter, that click means they're investing in you. And for someone to take even 10 seconds to invest in a stranger, that's a big deal. So when you get their attention, it's important to make a really good first impression, because you're a stranger. They don't know anything about you. Your portfolio could be the best one on planet Earth, but unless you compel them to click that far and see it, they're not going to get there. Because why? Because you're a stranger. There's not a trust factor there. You have to convince them to keep going forward. Number two, they have literally 200, 300, 400, 1,000 other emails from 1,000 other applicants that they have to look at. Whether this person's in the dev department, depending on the structure of the business, how big it is, where it's located, et cetera, the type of business you're doing, the type of software, it could be a human resources group. It could be a bunch of people. It could be one person. It could be in the IT department. It could even be a marketing. A lot of front-end developer roles are in marketing now, because again, front-end developers make things pretty. That's part of their jobs. And they need to entice people to click. You see where this is going? And so sometimes they're also in like traditional IT departments, I don't know, programming departments. Some companies still have those. Like, oh, this is our nerd department. I don't know. People have ridiculous words for what they call their programmers and their developers. What I'm saying is, it could be someone who knows a lot about development. It could be someone who doesn't know anything. So either way, they have a lot to get through. And if you're not catching their attention right away, it's on to the next one. And it's easy to feel discouraged, and it happens to most of us. For my first enterprise developer job, I think I applied to 60 or 70 jobs. And this wasn't like robo applications, like boop, boop, boop. I was customizing my cover letter, customizing my resume, and sometimes even customizing my portfolio to reflect that company's tech stack. That's another power insight for people who are really wanting a job, wanting to stand out. Customize your resume to reflect their tech stack, because let's think about this. And this is something I know I said I wasn't going to mention it, but I just have to. It's something I talk about in Portfolio Surgery. It's a book and video course. This is something I talk about because it's very important to realize that, okay, just wait for this. This is important. This is like the meat. I might need to caffeinate. Hold on. Thanks. Hold on. 50 people have left the chat. One more. 2 beverages, 1 live stream. Life doesn't get any better than this, developers. People are like, RTC, stop it. Just stop and talk. Okay. Talking about employers, right? They're going through these hundreds, maybe even 1,000 plus application materials. You have to not make them think. You have to not make them think. Don't make them guess. You have to grab their attention within 7 seconds or it's over. I'm not exaggerating with this. You have to capture their attention in 7 seconds or it's over. It's on to the next candidate. So you have to make it pop immediately. How do you do that? Do you put like little WizGig party favors in your email and like, you've seen those GIFs, right? Or like the guy who's like, that's how I define my portfolio. Mind blowing, man. In those 7 seconds, you have to not only convince that person reading your materials that you're worth it, but you also have to convince them to keep going. So this idea of like hooks and drawing them in is really important. And also what's really important is the fact that you're a problem solver. This is like really important. This is really, really, really important. You're a problem solver. They're not, now stick with me when I say this, because some people are going to feel uncomfortable. It's kind of what I specialize in. Employers aren't necessarily hiring you because of your skills. What? Now ask yourself this. Ask yourself, does the typical company owner go home at night and is this person just scratching their head, not able to sleep because you do or don't know GraphQL? No. No, they're not. They're scratching their head and staying up at night and can't sleep and have insomnia because they're trying to build their business. They're trying to grow their company. How do they grow their company? How do things go forward? How do things progress? When we solve problems. When we solve problems. Software developers use their tech stack to solve problems. The tech stack is a means to an end. And so when you use your tech stack, it's not just for the sake of going like this and going, I need to debug line 46 before the end of the day. Yes, that's important, but you're using these tools, these languages, these frameworks, these libraries, these design systems, all this stuff is a means for solving a problem. So what is your number one priority when you're going to these companies? You're convincing them, you're selling them on the fact that you can solve problems, but not just any problems, their problems. Can you solve that company's problems? That's what they want to know. That's what the people making a lot of money really want to know. And that's what people making the hiring and firing decisions, whether they state it or not, want to know. Can you solve that company's problems? Because if you can't convince them of that fact, of that idea in 7 seconds, or at least compel them to keep reading where you explain to them how you solve problems, it's on to the next candidate. And I am so adamant about this because I'm honestly, I have to be honest, developers, now I'm getting worked up. I am so sick of seeing people who are, I don't like seeing people who are unemployed with all these skills. And it really comes down to a matter of marketing, selling yourself. It's an uncomfortable thing. It's an uncomfortable thing. It's such a shame. It's such a shame because I meet so many talented developers. They have a great portfolio. They have great application materials. They are pleasant to be around. Communication skills, that's another big factor. That's just as important as coding skills because that is part of the problem-solving package. But when they don't connect with an employer and are saying, I've been looking for a job for 6 months to a year. I get sad. It makes me sad. It makes me sad. And there are lots of jobs to go around. And I'm not saying that just by taking on a certain mindset, you're going to have all this success, but it starts with understanding what you do. We get so carried away with this obsession, this incessant obsession with these tech components. React. You know how many React courses there are out there? Probably like, I don't know, 5,000 at least. I mean, like de facto courses, like you enroll. I mean, there's hundreds, probably thousands. When you count the blogs, the mini lessons, the email curriculum, there's just so many. I mean, all of this stuff there is no shortage. There is no shortage of tech courses, boot camps. We have colleges around the world that specialize in computer science and related technologies. There is no reason for us to be undereducated, and we're not. Some people need to find a little motivation to take some courses. That's human nature. But we don't have a shortage. Free Code Camp has solved a lot of the problems of not being able to afford a developer education. The issue is, again, self-discipline. But if you can find that self-discipline, you can become a developer for free. You can use a library's internet connection and a library's computer. But you've got to realize that these stacks aren't going to make you a junior developer. And I've had this question before. It was a really great question. It was like 2 years ago, someone asked me, RTC, if I'm taking a boot camp course online and I finish it and I do the projects, I know how to do this stuff. I can build Yelp Camp on my own. I'm still not a junior developer. Like, well, what will make me a junior developer? Solving problems. That's it. That's the answer. Solving problems. Because one thing I noticed, and again, I promised I wouldn't do this, but it ties in completely. This is not a self-promotion. This really ties into my work. One of the reasons I started RealToughCandy.io is because people do have all of these skills, like just a laundry list of these awesome skills, but they can't make the connection to the real world of employment because they learn implementations in these courses rather than a problem-solving process. And so when you learn the problem-solving process, rather than just, okay, I'm going to build a calculator, I'm going to build a to-do app, I can do these things, and you take yourself out of that context to a wider horizon of problem solving, the world is yours. And it's a big problem I see in the self-taught developer domain, because we learn all of these skills. Like literally, I've seen resumes, I've seen cover letters, I've seen even portfolios where there's, 10, 15 projects, 20 different languages, technologies, frameworks, libraries, etc. But still just not able to get out of that very specific context of, I pick on Yelp Camp a lot because that's the one we're most familiar with. I mean, it's a wonderful course. It's a wonderful project, but we have to be able to get out of that domain and apply it to other places in order to solve other people's problems. This is why we get paid. We're not getting paid to build Yelp camps. That is now going back to this problem solving thing. That is a problem that has been solved literally 500,000 times previously. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. We have a lot of problems in this world that software and our talents can help solve. That's why we get paid. That's why we get the accolades. That's why we get recognized. That's why, in some regards, software developers rule the world. It's some people say it's the revenge of the nerds, whatever you want to call it, but because people who are using that problem-solving process and applying it to their tech stack, they're transforming everything around the world. Why is that? Because software is everywhere. People who don't even use the internet are using software. When they get in their cars, they go to the post office that has 20 freaking people in line. Are they ever going to get right at the USPS? I worked there twice. Big side note. But whatever you do in your day, there's software present, even when you're not on a computer. Think about all the stuff we do online though, banking, entertainment, ordering food, everything from the basic necessities to the most self-indulgent shopping sprees. We're doing it on the web via software that problem solvers have implemented and made it super easy. These problem solvers have made it so easy that we don't even think about buying things online. Like back in the day, I don't know if anyone here is also old school, but there was a time where it took like 20 minutes for a Hanson tribute page to show up. Mbop, anyone? Come on, I know there's some old schoolers out there, but I mean, it was not that long ago where the internet was very limiting in what we could do. It was a hobbyist pursuit, and it was super freaking fun. But the big thing I want to just emphasize and really focus on this entire live stream, we're going to talk about other stuff, but the biggest takeaway, and then you can totally go about your day if you're like, okay, is she going to get to a point? This is my point. This is my point. We're problem solvers. And if you define yourself by the tech stack that you use, you're going to come into some problems and you're going to have troubles finding a job, leveling up, and getting a raise. All three of those things is going to be difficult because those are just means to an end. The other issue, it's like a two-pronged thing. So that's number one, the reframing yourself as a problem solver and using code to solve these problems. The other thing on this prong is you've got to market yourself and you've got to catch that person within 7 seconds. Now, I can't talk there. I mean, we could talk about this for 6-7 hours for like, sprucing up your cover letter resume, but that's a good start. Oh, here's something I can tell you. This is just a really good tip. You might even call it a strategy. If you find yourself actually, I would recommend doing this before you even apply to your very first job. Do it as soon as possible. When you have your application materials, show them to friends and family. Developers in your network, whoever, you want to get a nice diverse selection of people in the industry, people who are not, people who have no idea what you do, just to get these fresh eyes on your materials. And you're going to get, don't get me wrong, you might get one or two like really wacky pieces of feedback, like, okay, that was a little harsh. Like you may get one or two things that are just not applicable. Don't worry about it. What you're looking for is, again, the pattern of people who are saying things consistently. Like, I couldn't read line 7 because the font's so small. If 6 people say that, you got to bump up the font. If there are grammatical errors, if your resume is too wordy, there are a lot of things. And so you can take what you want from that crowd. It's like a group review of your materials and giving it some oxygen before you deploy it to these employers. Take their advice. And again, you're going to get some fringe comments. Don't worry about those. But the things that are most common, the most common pieces of feedback that you get from these different groups, because they will help you discover some things that your eyes may have not seen. Because when we do these things, we're just so into it. We're just like so focused on the prize that, I mean, I have had so many documents and pages and even like books where I'm just like, I'll have someone look over it and I will be super embarrassed. And I thought it was like 100. I thought it was so good. And then this person's like, just like, in the words of Michael Kornblum, going through these things like a serial killer and just like slashing everything. I'm like, what are you doing to my book? But as your eyes are so, anybody remember that old acronym MEGO? My eyes glaze over. My eyes glaze over. Yeah, I'm glaring, but they glaze. You get this MEGO effect and you can't really see it objectively. It's really hard. Even if you have a fresh set of eyes, it's really hard to look at your own stuff objectively. So that is a big tip I can give to people. Let me take a swig of this. I'm going to go to the comments because I've been really monologuing for a long time. As you may have noticed, I'm really adamant about this because even though I may come across as like curmudgeon and crabby, I really love helping people get inside this industry because there's so much opportunity. If there wasn't a lot of opportunity, I wouldn't have this channel and I wouldn't be talking about it because like most humans, I want things for myself and I'm kind of greedy that way. I don't like sharing. But there's just so much to go around. I can't do everything with it. I can't handle it all. I mean, we have so much work to do in this career field. There's so many opportunities, so many jobs. However you want to take it. If you want to do a 9 to 5, if you want to do contracting, if you want to do freelancing, if you just want to do a part-time, if you want to do it 80 hours a week, if you like startups and foosball and PS20s and D20s, whatever, whatever you like, whatever environment, it's there for you. And in these past, I don't know if you want to say decade, couple years or so, but it really is opening up more and more to the general public as far as opportunities go and just opportunities just everywhere. And I want to share that with people. And I'm honored to be part of people's coding journeys. And when I get messages from people and I get these notifications that, I'm having a really hard time, um, I want to help someone using the platform that I have that I've been building for the past 3 years to help people get jobs. It's I mean, call me a crazy buffoon, but I think it's just economic security is one path to world peace, if you really wanna know my opinion on it. Uh, I mean, it'll change everything about your life. I can vouch for it. As my longtime subscribers know, I've had some troubles. Life is tough, and have only been in this career field I've been in this career field long enough, but I mean, I'm still relatively new. I entered around 2017. So, going on 4 years, but it's still pretty new. So I haven't reached that 20-year mark where I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, these developers nowadays, blah, blah, blah." I don't feel that way, and I hope I never do. It's great seeing so many new people coming into the industry and wanting to change their lives, have a great sustainable career field. This career field now, some people are gonna disagree with me, and that's okay. This is the type of platform where we can disagree. We can be civil about it. But I think for the most part, a lot of these jobs are going to be recession proof. Now, the company itself might not, but the career field, yes, especially when you take into account not just web development, but like IoT stuff, machine learning. Dr. Candice, like I said in the beginning of the stream, she is doing, I don't know, like sending people to Mars in medical gear. I don't know. People are doing some amazing stuff. And a lot of these positions are recession proof. And not just that, and I don't just mean like a 9 to 5, I mean in general where okay, things economically are changing. This career field is elastic. It's going to keep going on no matter what. And you can pivot really easily once you have these skills and understand that you can problem solve in different contexts. So let's say your company was affected. Maybe there was no recession, your company just went belly up. You can get a job like that. If you have that, I'd say year mark, it's going to be tougher for newbies, but if something catastrophic happened at your job, um, but it's still possible to pivot easily. You can go to freelancing like right away. You can start freelancing the next day. So, yeah, I know, like I said, I know some people are going to disagree with me that it's recession proof. And that's okay. But I think the elasticity, the elasticness of this career field is really one great thing about it. Also, too, that just the paths you can go down. You can be a web developer, you can do intranet stuff, you can do desktop, you can mobile. I mean, IoT, so many different flavors. But anyways, let's go to the comments here because like I said, I've been babbling for quite some time. Let's see what you all have to say about it. Andrea, how's it going? Good seeing you. Samir, Average Joe, Venus A, Steve Wells. Steve Wells. Shout out to Steve Wells, who says, I'm kind of a Spice Girls. I feel that. Donovan says, I remember Hanson. I know. Mbop. I mean, worst song of 1997. Am I right? Hong Kai says, you're so right. I have learned a lot and just couldn't get a job. Hong, I mean, I a lot it's all about the mindset. It starts. That's where it starts. Now, the mindset alone is not going to get anyone a job. Mindset alone is not going to get anyone a job, but when you pair it, it's like wine and cheese. If you pair your mindset with your skill set, then the boulders start moving. And that's where the magic really, that's where moves start. That's where moves are made. And that mindset of being a problem solver, and thinking about, we use this term so much in this industry, empathy. I mean, does anybody really actually know what it means? People use it every day in like the weirdest context. Like, well, I'm looking for an empathetic developer. Like, what do you mean? But the true sense of empathy, where you can understand or at least attempt to relate to someone else's point of view. And when you can empathize with an employer, go put on their shoes and think about what they would look for in a developer, that's when things start changing. That mindset starts shifting. And you fuse that mindset like wine and cheese. Just pair it with your skill set. That's when things start moving. So, yeah. Candace is here. Yes. What's up, Candace? Omadev, what's going on? JJ, Caitlin Frederick. Caitlin Frederick says RTC dropping some truth bombs. I love it. I mean, I don't know. It's tough because I know some people don't like YouTubers, and some people think, oh, YouTubers are just like out to make a quick buck and stuff. Listen, if I wanted to make a quick buck, I would not be doing development on YouTube. I certainly wouldn't. Yes, this is part of my chosen career, being on YouTube and helping people level up and do awesome things, create with the community, be part of the community. That is part of my business. But I'm not here to make a quick buck, and I'm not here to steer people in the wrong direction. And a lot of people want to hear that it's going to take 3 weeks and the MERN stack, mean stack, lamp stack to get your first job. And that's just not true. And I don't like advertising that reality a lot because I don't want to discourage people from onboarding and coming into the fold with this career. However, it takes a lot of work, and a lot of it does start with that mindset shift. And again, empathizing with employers, understanding what they want. If your mind isn't hurt, if some part of you isn't hurting after that 8 hours of studying software development, of studying JavaScript, of OOP or whatever, dynamic programming, I just went through this course. Do we have any dynamic programmers here? It blows my mind. Dynamic programming blows my mind. And it's not something I ever used really for any relevant purposes when I was in enterprise. And I certainly don't use it a lot nowadays, but wow. I don't know where I was going with that, but what I'm saying is it's tough, but it can be done. And there's just so many opportunities here, but I think a big part of it is just starting at step 0 with the mindset and realizing that we get paid to solve problems. Some great comments today. What's up, everyone? 52 viewers, 31 likes. If you haven't, developers, do me a favor, hit that like button so we can continue to rock it. Orlando Rodriguez says, the competition is brutal. The portfolio must be perfect, making apps like NASA. Well, that's an interesting comment. I want to go back to that. Let's go see who else. Montserrat, hey, what's going on? Let's see. IT Tech, how's it going? Paradoodly-doo holding it down with the mod duties. Hologram Nunchuck, good seeing you. And welcome everyone just joining us. Brian, Matthew, some new names today, some great comments. Keep it up, developers. RunOS is here. RunOS has the funniest comments. I have LOL'd so many times. A long-time subscriber. Great to see you in the live stream. Let's see. Andrea, RunOS has a question. Do you think the programming languages you learn have anything to do with your ability to get a job? For example, too many JavaScript developers versus not enough C++ developers. Ooh, that's a good question. That's an interesting question. Are there too many JavaScript developers? And I'm using air quotes because people who know JavaScript, some of us refer to ourselves as, C++ developers, JavaScript developers, whatever. But a lot of us just call ourselves web developers if we know JavaScript, HTML, CSS, full stack, front end, back end, whatever modifier you want to put on it. Could that be an opportunity? That's an interesting thing to think about. Could that be an opportunity for people who just aren't making the cut or just have something missing as a web developer, as a junior developer? What I'm asking is, and this is rhetorical, is the web developer market flooded? And if so, what are some remedies for that? Well, one thing, improving your material, standing out in front of the pack. The other thing could be to just exit web development and do something like C++. Interesting. C++ is a nice little language. I also forgot to mention game development in this whole live stream of, disciplines where software development is used. Also, too, not to get too off topic, but WebAssembly. Oh my gosh, I think that's I'm just so excited about WebAssembly, and Rust and these languages that are going to be used for web development. JavaScript, I don't want to step on too many toes, but I was talking to a former maintainer of the NPM CLI, or of NPM CLI rather. And I asked her, her name was Kat something. And I asked her, where do you think, this was last year, where do you think JavaScript's going to be in 10 years? And she said, I don't think JavaScript's going to be anywhere significant in 10 years. I think it's safe to say it's going to be in a sea of other, it's going to be, I don't want to misquote her, mischaracterize her statement, but essentially she was saying it's going to be taking a back seat. And that is, a lot of factors contribute to that, but in a big way, WebAssembly. But that is a great comment. What about the option of transitioning to something like C++ for other types of development where there isn't, if you see the most popular, now YouTube is one of many platforms, right? But the views are with web development projects. Like, for example, when I was in enterprise, I worked at an IBM affiliate, and so we use proprietary languages. If you type in these proprietary languages, or like AS400 on YouTube, you're going to get a channel with 200 subscribers tops. But that doesn't mean the money is any less. And in a lot of cases, so here's the thing. Now, I'm just trying to plant this idea. I'm not saying go either way with it. I'm just sharing the message. A lot of these proprietary languages, they're in big need for people. We've seen it recently with the Rona, and what was it? Was it BASIC or COBOL? I think it was COBOL, because these mainframe computers in state government offices run on these mainframes and old not proprietary, but older languages, sometimes proprietary. And they're in desperate need. There was someone on the live stream the other month who was like, yeah, I've been in this industry for years. I applied and I got the job. And this person is now working on mainframes for the government, making some good money. What I'm saying is there are opportunities that you may have never heard of with these proprietary languages, because a lot of these baby boomers, these people started in the 70s and 80s. They're 60 and 70 years old. The guy I worked with, he coded in a language no one's ever heard of, using this technology not many people have heard of. He was in his late 60s. His father was born in 1899. Can I get a siren for that? 1800s. His father was born in the 1800s. His father, not grandfather. My coworker's father was born in the 1800s. Okay, this guy, he's gone. He's gone from the industry. There are other people like him who are hanging up the hat, and there's no one to replace him. The problem is that it's difficult for self-taught developers to find good resources for these languages. They just don't have the community. I mean, look at how spoiled we are with Mozilla Web Docs. They recently changed their name from MDN to Mozilla Web Docs, I think. We're so spoiled with that. Great documentation. And when you look at something like PHP, and I'm not dumping on PHP because I think it is a great language with great it's not a great language, but it has a lot of opportunities. We're really spoiled compared to PHP documentation. And a lot of these lesser known technologies, they just don't have the community, and that's really hard as a junior. Now, if you're in the industry for a year, and again, going back to this problem solving process, and you hone your process, the actual technology becomes less important. You know React, you know GraphQL, okay, but you also, after that year mark, that's a really important milestone, the year mark. And I recommend anyone, I mean, you don't need to listen to me, but this is my recommendation. Take a journal and write down your accomplishments and write down, I used to write down my day-to-day. I have a tech journal. I brought it also every day when I was in an enterprise. I had a journal when I'm freelancing, when I started freelancing. I also keep a journal for my consultations and things I do nowadays with my business. And you can look back and say, whoa, I've come a long way. And then, it really just helps materialize a lot of things. It helps materialize a lot of things. Your self-worth almost. And that's probably not a good word to use because it's kind of a little harsh. Self-worth. No, the self-assessment helps. I think it's a really good self-esteem booster because there's no doubt in that year when you look at that notebook and you see what you had problems with and you see what you were concerned with, that year goes by and you look back and you're like, huh, I can do that, no problem. It's a really good morale booster and it can help shape the direction you want to go in next. And it's kind of I don't want to say wake up call. I'm not using good words with explaining this, but I think most people understand what I'm trying to say. Keeping a journal of your accomplishments and things that are tough for you can really help in retrospect, and it can help in the moment just trying to get it on paper. Let's go back to these comments. Run OS, it was great to see you. S. Cochran's here. S. Cochran is one of our awesome Discord members. Welcome, S. Cochran. I don't think I've seen you on your live stream. I'm so excited I can't speak. I haven't seen you on a live stream before. Breaking into legacy system development is also hard because most people don't have access to the systems and platforms needed to learn. Great point. Great point. Yeah. And it is, I do want to mention, and again, maybe emphasize that for juniors, it is tough because of that and other factors, but it is possible. They hired me. I didn't know anything about IBM AS400s. I didn't know anything about that. Not to be fair, I was doing web development. I didn't do like the IBM hardcore IBM stuff. I did work on the AS400, but and I did pick up a couple technologies related to IBM. But my core responsibilities was web development. And it was interesting. And we could talk about proprietary tech for a long time. Let's just say this old school tech doesn't like to play nice with new school stuff. And that's what's so wonderful about these tutorials, because it's greenfield development. You start completely from scratch, clean computer, clean code, nothing to get in your way. It's like once you get into the operational industry, it's a completely different story. There's lots of messes to clean up. And that was exciting. That was exciting to see because the projects I had done previously as a freelancer, I wasn't really fixing, I wasn't fixing legacy code. I wasn't working on a 1,000,000-line project in 5 different languages without a framework. By the way, if you're working at a corporation or some kind of any type of company that's building big web apps without a framework, be afraid. That's all I'll say on that. Candace says, I remember having to learn ObjectScript. It's part of inner systems technology at my old job and didn't have any experience with that. Yeah, I was like a fish out of water when I was in enterprise at first. Oh my God, like the first month, first 2 months, everything was just that's where the imposter syndrome starts kicking in because I'm like, what am I doing here? What I can't do. I don't understand any of this. Even simple things like getting used to using a mouse because I am about the laptop lifestyle. I love my laptop. I'm doing my live stream on my laptop. It is like a child. Dun, 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 dun. I don't use a mouse. I don't use peripherals. I don't use any of that stuff. But when you're at a business, you sit down at a chair and you're like stuck there using a keyboard and a mouse. And I'm just like, ah, there's a lot of stuff to get used to. It really is kind of a culture shock. Not to mention you have to learn their processes. And that was a big eye opener too, talking about this problem solving process was that my brain for the most part was stuck on implementations. And so I had to learn to step back and apply patterns for solving problems. Otherwise, the Yelp Camp, and again, it's an awesome project, but using the process for building Yelp Camp is not going to cut it in the real world. And I had to learn that in a big way very quickly. It was a shock. Zoe Digital, what's going on? Your channel has grown so much. I remember when you had like 3K, love your courses and content. Real Tough Candy is the real deal. Zoe, thanks so much for the love. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I have to be totally transparent here. Brad Traversy promoted my channel last year, and it was like Coding Phase called it the Traversy stimulus package, and it truly was like hockey stick. I'm very grateful for that and grateful that so many people have decided to join in and join the fun. Let's see. Leandro says, I was doing a web development course of studies from a university, and I had to read really, really old versions of Java or use old programs. I give up already, but I really wanted the paper. Yeah, that is. Run West said 1899. Did his granddad fight in the Civil War? I should have asked. This guy was very interesting. And when he said his dad was born in 1899, I think my jaw dropped as I was like furiously trying to SSH into something on my second day at work. It was crazy. But there are a lot of people. This is the thing. A lot of these promotional materials, you will never. Has anyone here ever seen Logan's Run or read the book? Great sci-fi. If you're a sci-fi fan or even moderately interested in sci-fi, I highly recommend checking out Logan's Run. It is dystopian, it's engaging, it's a killer 70s sci-fi movie. But anyways, Silicon Valley reminds me of Logan's Run because so these people have this little gem in their hand on this planet. And when they reach, I think it's their 30th birthday. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's their 30th birthday. It starts flashing. And they have to go to this thing, this get together to renew. And so they all go in a circle and they're like, renew, renew, renew. And their things blinking, renew, renew. And it's like this cult. They wear these drape like clothing items. It's spooky. And so they're renewing. And what happened? They go start rotating in a circle and they all explode. And that's how they live. Like if you're 30, you must die. And that's how I feel Silicon Valley is. It's very youth centric. We talked about reasons for this in previous live streams. But the reality is, okay, let's clear up some marketing things here. The vast majority, I think it's like, I don't want to give out percentages because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the majority of jobs are not in Silicon Valley. And there are a lot of people over the age of 30 or, Silicon Valley. What's the cutoff in Silicon Valley? 25, 26. There are a lot of people over the age of 26 in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. Some people even in their 70s, they refuse to retire in this career field. Now, I'm not saying everyone get in a bus and come on down to the Midwest United States. I don't think most people on the coast would enjoy it that much, especially when December rolls around and it's 20 below. But there is a huge opportunity outside Silicon Valley, no matter your age. There is such an obsession with youth. And again, we've talked about this, the reasons for that in other live streams. But what I'm saying is, if you're over the age of 26, please don't get the impression that it's too late. One of the questions I see asked most often, tops of all creators on YouTube, of all people in my network, of people who are newer and wanting to know, just kind of like poking and prodding and seeing if, they're seeing if the industry is maybe of interest to them. Number one thing, I'll bet some of you know it too. Is it too late? Am I too old to learn how to code? Because every freaking ad, every freaking photo, video, a piece of propaganda, however you want to define it, everything that's thrown out to us for our consumption regarding this career field has a 24-year-old on the cover. And I'm not anti 24 years old. Like, I'm very pro 20s. Like, I'm pro anyone wanting to enter this industry. And if you're 24, I'm not picking on you. I'm saying that's an ideal. It's kind of like the new Hollywood or something. Like, really? Like, why do they have to be that certain age? It's not reality. I was working with a guy whose dad was born in 1899, and this guy was getting paid. This guy has retired. Has since retired. There are so many other jobs opening up like that, where these people are older, they're in their 60s and 70s, and they need someone to replace them. And not just for proprietary stuff. That's a lot where I see it. We have web developers in their 40s and 50s. There are probably some in their 60s too. And it's the answer to that question to me is, of course it's not too late. Of course it's not. There was a time in like the early 2000s where people like, I don't know, I think John Sonmez was saying at one time, he's on YouTube, he doesn't do tech videos anymore, but he was saying in the early 2000s, he was getting paid over $100,000 to code HTML. So those days have passed. Those days are over. The gold mine of getting paid for throwing in a few tags, over. Solving a problem at the time, though. Because now think about it. If we think about it in terms of tech stacks, that idea of John Sonmez and other people with his skills, HTML, just coding HTML and getting paid $100,000 for it. It's kind of ridiculous, right? Like, well, I know GraphQL, Node, and I even know some PHP. I even know some CSS. I even know some Tailwind. It's not about the stack. It's not about the stack, developers. It's about the problem solving. I'm guessing John Sonmez solved problems with his HTML skills, and that's what got him paid. Don't have to take my word for it. Somebody tweet John Sonmez and ask him how much he made as an HTML programmer, if that's what they were called back in the day. Ask him. I saw the video. This was not, to my knowledge, now I wasn't doing this in 2000, but to my knowledge, that was not uncommon. Yes, we did have a big tech bubble burst, but we're always in a bubble in technology. So if one deflated, there's another one being pumped up as we speak. So I'm not too concerned about that. But there's always something to take its place. But it just really illustrates the notion of problem solving. And it is harder. It is harder to be a developer than it was, because the basic problems, this is one of the biggest things when you come a little later. This is one of the problems when you enter the industry a little later, not necessarily in age years in your life, but as an industry grows. You could be 18 and you'd still have these problems. Is that when an industry has been around for a while, any industry, the basic stuff gets solved first. So we have CSS and we have these tools that people have built before us. And yes, they make our jobs easier, but the basic infrastructure has been laid down. So the problems become more granular and finer. And they're not these big, obvious elephants in the room. Like, wow, it took me 2 hours to get to this Hansen site and like download photos from my personal files in 7th grade. Like, we've solved a lot of those problems, whether it's with the internet, like internet speeds, we're talking more of like a hardware thing, or like infrastructure, or we're talking about the code itself. The basic problems have been solved. So coming in later, it's not really about your age, it's about the age of the industry. But to be clear, just because the problems are more granular and more nuanced does not mean there are less opportunities. In fact, there are more, because now we have the big fat problems down. There's a whole slew of them now that we have the mass of the world online. I mean, my gosh. So I started using I try to diversify my hardware and software as much as possible, but it's really hard to escape Google's claws and clutches because they make really good products. I just wish there was an option to pay so I could like opt out of their spying. There's no option though. You can't even pay them. They're like not even as nice as the mafia. Like you can't pay for protection. It's just like stop spying on me. Here's $1,000. Like nope, won't take it. Sorry. So I use Chrome. I have Firefox, I have a Safari, but for a lot of the stuff that I do, for development and, I mean, some of these sites won't a lot of these sites won't even run on Safari anymore. I don't know what I was getting at. Um, what was my point? I use Chrome browser a lot. Oh, okay, this is what it was. This is what it was. So I use Chrome browser, um, for many things, because it just works. Sometimes in Firefox, I mean, I'm all about Firefox. Sometimes my emojis won't render. Like, why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening. Chrome works in a lot of places my other browsers don't. So I use the password manager, and what popped up the other day that one of my passwords had been leaked in a breach or something. And they're like, "Do you want to fix this?" I'm like, "Yeah, heck yeah, I want to fix this." It's stuff like that. We have these new problems where I mean, even taking these examples of some of these servers that I do admin stuff on, like webmaster stuff. Webmaster still exists, by the way. Google actually has a live group, and they have multiple channels for webmasters. If you're aspiring to learn about SEO, learn about some basic server stuff, check out Google Webmasters. But the servers that I do webmaster stuff on, that I own, the little chunk of VPS that I manage, I get emails every 5 minutes. Somebody from the Netherlands was trying to crack into your like, we have a lot of these problems that are sprouting up, whether and that's another, piece of the industry. Some people call it security, cybersecurity. That word cybersecurity is so old, it's so outdated in my mind, like, wow, that's really 90s. But it's still kinda accurately when you say cybersecurity, people know what you're talking about. But we have these things, these problems sprouting up, and so my ultimate point with this thing that I'm talking about with getting hacked and getting, these hacking attempts and stuff is that we have so many problems, we don't know what to do with them. And again, that's why I don't mind coming on here telling people how to get jobs in the industry or selling courses for, 24.99 a month, which is not very much at all. For some people, I do understand it is a lot. But compared to the $100,000 you'll spend at college and not even learn these things, I think it's a pretty good deal. I don't mind sharing this stuff on YouTube, which is totally free of cost because there's just so much. All right, let's go to the comments. Let's see. William Claybrook says, I just started my Colt Steel JavaScript course. I'll call y'all in a week. Enjoy. It's a really fun course. Andriel says, try Brave. I need to try that. Thanks for the heads up. Edward S. also says, try using Brave. Anthony Sim says, I just heard of Brave, all about Bat. Average Joe says, love Brave. Paradoodly loves it too. Man, everyone's endorsing Brave. I'll have to check it out. I've heard a lot. I just haven't got to it. Tech Rally's checking in. What's up, Tech Rally? Robert Callan. Paradoodly, thanks for modding. Let's see. No, it was neat to see William Claybrook. All he said was that his uncle watched the channel all the time. What? Wait, what did I miss? Yes, William Claybrook says, yes, ma'am. He asked me what YouTubers I watched. I found out he was looking at RTC. Sorry if he was out of order. He was so impressed though. Wait, what am I missing? I'm totally missing half of this chat in here. Donovan said, back when I was teaching at a JavaScript workshop at a local meetup, there was an older gentleman, had to be over 60 years old, taking my coding class. Very inspired by him. It's never too late. Donovan, that is wonderful. That is so great to hear. Yeah. And I do check my analytics on, again, a wonderful, awesome product on YouTube. And there are a handful, but people here nonetheless over the age of 65. It's wonderful to see. It's never too late. It's never too late. And we have so much adaptive technology. I know, some people have, even I sometimes, I'm just like, this is uncomfortable, like typing. We have a lot of great breakthroughs in adaptive technology. If that is, am I using that phrase right? I think it's adaptive technology, right? Where, these things cater to people who have problems with their hands or eyesight, making it more accessible. And I believe it's called adaptive technology. But yeah, it is awesome. It is awesome that more and more people of all ages are getting into it. William says, I'm going to do it at 51. Can't stop me now. William, woohoo! He says, JavaScript is my next conquest. Danielle Bloom is here. What's up, Danielle? All right, developers. So let's come back to this next topic. Let's come back to what we're talking about. The title of this video, and we have gone really off. Have we gone off topic? I feel like this is all related. This is all related. Getting your employer, your potential employer, to click on that link. If you have a great portfolio. And to recap and summarize what we've been talking about today is the mindset, putting yourself into your employer's shoes and thinking, okay, as an employer, I'm looking for someone to solve problems, but not just any problems, my business's problems. Where am I going to find that candidate? How am I going to find that candidate? Again, going back to my time in enterprise, I feel like my time spent there was for the sole purpose of that was just to tell you about it on YouTube. No, but it did help me. It guided me in so many other ways. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, but I'm doing my own thing now and I'm very happy where I am. We were looking for a senior developer. And mind you, this location, we were in the middle of nowhere. Like no one wanted to move where I worked, like BFE. Okay. We opened up for a senior developer position. We're looking for just good, solid knowledge, full stack web development, PHP, 1 or 2 years. We'd be willing to talk about anything. Yes, it was for a senior. Like my position was supposed to be a senior developers, but they took me because they were desperate. I filled a senior developer's role. So we were interviewing people. First of all, we posted on Indeed and some local job boards. We would get, again, I want to emphasize, no one cares about this company. Here's Google on one side of the spectrum, and then here's this company, polar opposites. No one wants to work. We would get, I don't know, 30 applications a week, which, okay, that's not a lot. Some people say, oh, well, that's not a lot. It was a lot for us, especially because they were coming from all around the world. And we'd have to file through. The developer team was myself and my senior developer. Now, on top of clients calling us because of dysfunctional applications, on top of fielding phone calls of people wanting to know when this will be done, on top of your general day-to-day activities, we were going through all these resumes. We were calling people in. And the fact was, we would delete the inbox because Indeed would send you their application materials. So the email would be from Indeed. And we'd see the basics and the first few sentences of the cover letter or the resume or whatever. Most of them would be just boop, right to trash within 10 seconds. Why was that? Honestly, it was for some really obvious stuff. They were had 5 years experience in Java. We weren't looking for someone who knew Java. So that is another thing. I mean, it might sound obvious to a lot of people, but you've got to read that job description. And that could be another reason why you're not getting those callbacks. If you're applying to jobs where the tech stack isn't related to yours. And again, going back to that thing where you're solving their problems, you want your tech stack to reflect theirs. Because even though, yes, the problem solving process is more important than just, listing off these technologies. You're using those technologies to solve a problem. So it is important to mirror as much as possible. And if you're applying to a PHP position where you only know JavaScript as a new developer, you're probably going to go straight to trash. So really investigate that. That's an actionable tip I can give for new developers who are having problems like this person who's currently having some issues getting people to click through. Have your tech stack mirror theirs, and try to customize it. Try to customize your cover letter as much as possible. Take 10 minutes and research that company. I've done consultations where people were doing these robo applications. When I say robo applications, I mean they were essentially they had their resume and their portfolio all set up, all contained in like a zip file or something, and they would just submit, or I think you can save it on Indeed. I don't know, I've never done it, so I've only have had them explain it to me. But you can easily apply. It's like a one-click apply. Some people have had success with that, but if you're not having success, you may want to try a new technique. You need to try something, a new approach, a different approach. And one of those approaches could be to really tweak everything to cater to that company. Because again, also as a new developer, you don't have that trust factor. And if it shows your employer that you spent even just 10 minutes on their about section, or the bio page or whatever, and you understand, at least on a surface level, even at a surface level, what they're doing, that's going to catch my interest. And that's certainly going to catch the interest of a lot of other people looking at these things. Because what we saw was that most applicants weren't even reading the entire job description. And so we had to filter through all this stuff. It's just like at the end, we did interview some people. We had people bring in their portfolio printed out. It was like 20 pages of code. That was interesting. That person was kind of they weren't they were doing stuff in the medical industry. They were doing more internal applications for like the personnel, rather than web apps for the public. They also built something. It was like a modified calorie tracker for part of their, because health and fitness is a big component of a lot of these places where for like diabetes treatment and stuff. They're like, okay, we're gonna have you on insulin, but we also want you to track your calories and like do all this stuff so you can kind of stay in shape, or try to. And so one of the things they'll do is have you log on to like a portal, a health portal. And from there, you can use these things. And so he had worked on some of that stuff, which was really rad. But he brought in his portfolio all printed out. So that was interesting. But we actually didn't see. That is one of the things when you work and you're going to your second job, and it's hard to have a portfolio because a lot of the stuff you just can't share. That is a benefit as a new developer, though, because your portfolio isn't based on projects you can't share. The projects you worked on independently, whether it was from a course that you modified, or course projects that you modified, or something else, something that you can share. So that, I think that is a big benefit, because we're visual people. We want our eyes to be blown right off. And one way you can do that is through a really nice looking portfolio. Developers, wow, so many great comments today. Thanks for tuning in. Andriel says, yes, adaptive technology. I have mild cerebral palsy and had to use a lot of adaptive technology at school. All right, cool. Yeah, I thought it was that, but I'm so bad with my words on live streams that I wanted to make sure. Thanks, Andriel, for clarifying that is indeed what it is. David Joseph says, whoever say that you learn to code in 3 days, you need to get a life. JavaScript itself took me 4 months to be able to do some basic projects on my own. Listen, David, I want that comment to be normalized. I want that comment to be normalized because it is hard. It is difficult. And the problem we have on YouTube, and I realize this is kind of contradictory because I am on YouTube too, and perhaps I am part of the problem. I want to not be, but it is so tempting to say, you can just bang this out in 3 months and on to the next thing. But I truly want the time investment to be normalized where it's not a 3-week thing. You can't master a language in 4 months. I've done consultations and one-on-ones with people where they graduated from a boot camp, but they're still having a lot of trouble connecting with employers because, the boot camp, maybe the curriculum is great, maybe the networking is great, but from 0 to complete code stud or studette or whatever you want to call yourself, code ninja, that's just not how it works. It'll fast track you with the stacks, but as far as everything else, you're still new. And so it is tough. It's tough. Think about it though. A college graduate with a computer science degree, that takes at least 4 years. If you like to party, it's going to take you 5 years, 4 to 5 years to get a computer science degree. Now, don't you think it should be normalized that a self-taught developer might take 1, 2, or 3 years? Why isn't that normal? Why isn't that normal? Why isn't that normal? I want to know. It takes a long time. And not only that, as a college graduate, they don't teach you modern web development. It takes so much time to get these materials in college approved. By the time they approve the web tech department or curriculum, it's already outdated. I took this one course. It was like intro to web. They called it web programming, which, okay, fair enough. That term, you just don't hear it all that much, but I'll go with it. It was so 2005. Like it wasn't applicable. This was just like 2 years ago. I was taking a course. It was like an elective as I had to take as part of a certificate program for Oracle database. But because I knew how to code, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll learn. You can always learn something more. It's always good to refresh on the basics, etc. But I'm going through it. I'm like, this was like worse than like an outdated Udemy course. It was bad. So what I'm saying is college is great for the fundamentals and getting those big time heavy language. Like you want to bang out Java, go to college. The pressure is on to learn it there. A lot of colleges are starting to do Python too, which is great to see, but college is good I'm not a college hater, especially when it comes to computer science, because they are valuable degrees, but they're going to take 4 to 5 years. Why isn't it? And then after that, they have to go teach themselves web development and build a portfolio. You're not building a web development portfolio in a college classroom. You're doing it on your own time. You have to take all that time to build a portfolio. 4 to 5 years. Why isn't it normalized? Why isn't it normal for a completely self-taught developer to take 1, 2, 3, and even 4 years? It shouldn't be shameful. It shouldn't be, poo-pooed. And we do see, I have seen videos, I have seen blog posts, I have seen channels all over the place. And again, I know I'm a YouTuber. Okay. I'm not like, well, I'm not part of this. I am part of this, but this is what I've also seen. I'm not exempt from criticism. And I'm not here to hate on anyone. I'm trying to make better developers and get people in the industry. But when I see these materials where it's like, she became a good developer in 3 days, it's like, no, she didn't. No, they didn't. Stop it. Stop it. And so I think this is a good inspirational point for me to take some like, interview someone with the video title, "They learned code in 4 years," and really show people the dedication that it takes and the time investment that it takes to become job-ready developers. Again, this is a six-figure plus career field. If you know these skills and you have business skills, it's game over. You can retire in 5 years. But even if you just do the 9 to 5, you're gonna be fine. That doesn't come with 3 days of studying. You can't make 6 figures with 3 days of studying. It takes a long time. It takes a long time, and that's okay. But, yeah, and I think it is inspirational, but it's also deceptive because people generally take 1, 2, sometimes 3 years, and I've been working with developers for 3 years. That's generally what I've been seeing. I know that's a big time difference between, a year and 3, but I'm saying a minimum a year. That's what I see. That's what I see. I don't just make YouTube videos as RTC. I'm doing one-on-ones, portfolio reviews. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I do and people I work with. Um, yeah, so if it's taking you a longer time than 3 days, that's okay. It should be normalized. And it gets frustrating, and I think it is frustrating for so many people, to see story after story, medium.com publication after publication of, "I scored a job. I'm making the $250 million, and I studied for 3 days." It's like, "Well, what am I, chopped liver? Like, how am I gonna fit into this?" I'm here to tell you that as someone who is behind the scenes, like I said, I do more than just YouTube videos. I do more than just publish a blog. There are lots of people out there where I mean, for most people, it's taken a year or more. It's okay. It's all right, and it needs to be normalized. And I think I'm just, like, talking in circles at this point, but it is such a big point, and I see a lot of people get discouraged, and that sucks. That's disappointing to see, and I can see how it happens because it's like, "Well, I've been working so hard on this. I can do a for loop, and I've been practicing this for 3 months." I mean, that needs to be normalized in my opinion. We can build better course we can build a better community, I think, and there's just so many other benefits to that. Uh, that's all I'll say on that. Let's see. Let's read some of these comments. These comments are absolutely lit tonight, developers. I really appreciate it. I'm feeling fired up about this topic. One of my most I just get fired up about it because to me, here's where I am with this. I love the opportunities. I love coding. I love the technologies. They're really exciting. I just saw the other day Open Source North 2021 has been announced ish. They're probably going to do it virtually, which is not going to be as great. But I mean, what can you do? Not going to be as great as the in person, but what can you do? I love the conferences. I love sharing ideas. But what I love the absolute most is how it can help people, how it can change people's lives for the better. Because it's not getting any easier out there. Whether you're in the States or somewhere around I don't know wherever in this world, it's not getting any easier. And making this transition to tech for me is one of the best decisions I've ever made. I wish I would have gotten into it sooner. That's my regret. I wish I would have gotten into it sooner instead of being like, well, this is just not, I don't want to do this. It's amazing. I can change your life, and that's really what excites me, and inspires me because I know it to be true that it can change lives. I've seen it in myself, and I've seen it in other people's lives. The best decision I've ever made. One of them. One of the best. Okay, I've made some good decisions in my life. I've made like 5. This is one of them. Let's go to these comments. They're absolutely lit. Curtis Davis, how's it going? Curtis, I I see your comments. I think YouTube is definitely like placing my channel next to yours. It's just like trailing. I'm just like a fish following bait. I see your comments on all these videos that I seriously randomly see. I think YouTube is there's some sort of conspiracy going on. It's great to see you. Curtis Davis says took 4 months for boot camp, but 1 year to find a developer role. Yeah, took 4 I'm gonna read that comment again. Took 4 months for boot camp, but 1 year to find a developer role. Yeah, common. And it's super discouraging. There are people, in my Discord right now who have gone to a boot camp. They're motivated, they've got the skills, they just can't connect. It takes and that's not to say, well, they're never gonna get a job. It's discouraging, but there's a job out there for you. There's definitely a job out there. It's just like I saw this graphic once, this little comic, and it's of this person digging with one of these old mining tools, and they're really close to the gold mine. They're like this far away, but they don't know that. And so that person quit. They had spent so much time digging this tunnel, trying to find this gold, and they were literally inches away. And they said, I can't do this anymore. And they turned around and gave up. And they never knew how close they were to that gold mine. And that's exactly what it is in this industry. If you give up and don't come back, you're never going to see how close you actually were. You're close. You're close. Because if you're here watching this video right now, it tells me you're closer than most people, who say, yeah, I'll get around to it. I mean, people spending their Friday nights talking about code. Yeah, you're closer than most people. And it's just that perseverance that really, really counts. William Claybrook says, I don't expect this to just magically get me a job. I'm just proud of how far I've got. I definitely don't feel like a master, but I'm not going to get discouraged. So I'm very proud of it. William, that's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear. And it is learning this stuff is empowering in so many other ways too, not just from a technological standpoint. Like not many people can say that they taught themselves a major skill. Like it's just not something most people do. Most of us, I mean, I'm one of them. Like tonight, let's be honest, I'm probably gonna watch Partridge reruns and like eat a pizza. That's what I do on Fridays. There is time to relax and take it easy and definitely work-life balance. But it is empowering when you find that self-discipline to teach yourself a real skill and apply that skill to, again, solve a problem. Let's see. Danielle Bloom says, I have been at it off and on for 3 years. Life with 4 kids makes it hard to do in only a few months. Just keep doing it. Yeah. Candace says, I know the feeling. It took me over a year to grasp ML, AI, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Got curious on what's under the hood. Yeah, Candace, one of these days, first of all, I know I've been talking about this for like a year and a half. We need to have the part 2 of Netopoly, the board game. Candace played me live. What was it, 2 years ago almost? Holy crap. I would love to have you on the channel for the game and for an interview about ML and AI because that is something. So I'm enrolled in a machine learning course right now on Educative. Um, I get to it when I can. Like I'll do like 5 and 10 minutes here and there. About 3 years ago, I was doing stuff with neural networks, but I was more like just kind of like painting without understanding why I was doing it. You know what I mean? Like I really didn't understand what I was doing, but I was still building stuff. And it was cool, but it never clicked. So I would love to pick your brain about AI and ML. And yeah, she says especially the math behind it. I think that's one of the other things too, is that I see all these calculations and formulas and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'll just stick with my CSS. Curtis says, learn more from youtube.net than 4 years of college. Danielle says, I like the Harvard CS50 classes online. It's good to help understand a little bit of computer science. Agreed. I like the CS50, the Harvard CS50 class. There's one that is, so I forget, Danielle, like maybe someone else can help me out. Like there's the one, is CS50 just, is that the, hold on. I want to know. I want to tell you which one I was taking. And because this is a really cool course, it's totally free. And Danielle Bloom is absolutely right. Having some computer science understanding. Okay, so CS50 is actually a YouTube channel, and it says this is CS50, Harvard University's Introduction to the Intellectual Enterprises of Computer Science. There's one that has a few million views, and that's the actual, it's one video. I didn't know they had the series of things. Maybe I did and I conveniently forgot. Um, Maybe it was, I don't know. I should share my screen probably. But you guys can check it out. Just type in CS50. There's a lot of good introductory courses for computer science. And that was mind-blowing for me when I first saw that one video. Again, I don't remember the exact name of it, but it has a ton of views and it's CS50 related. They were talking about stuff that I had never heard of in these online boot camps where they're talking about the sciencey aspects. And that to me was so helpful because in order to really understand the tech, I need to understand it from a more holistic standpoint. Otherwise, it's just me like being a code monkey. And I really can't improve my thinking process when I just know the implementation. I keep wanting to say GraphQL for some reason. I think it's because it's like it's one of those technologies that everyone talks about, but no one uses. Like, who is using GraphQL? I mean, it's cool, but if you're using it for a personal blog, I think it's kind of overkill. That's just my opinion. Great comments, everyone. Candace says, you got yourself a deal. Yes. Awesome. Andriel says, well, right now I've been coding for 6 years, went through some personal stuff a couple years ago, and have been struggling to get back into dev ever since. Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that comment too, or made that comment, because not only, so it's like we have this thing called life and it's messy and it happens and people get sick, families need our attention. Um, Spousal, we have significant others, or we don't have significant others, or we have, I mean, there, what? I could spend 8 hours talking about these types of life events. They are part of life. And to think that it's just going to be like, okay, 40 hours a week, I'm just going to buckle down in the living room. Life needs us and life calls for us, especially if we have children or someone we're taking care of in our home. Those things take priority. And to think that, um, it's just like, well, yeah, just, sit down for 8 hours a day. If you're younger and you don't have a lot of extracurriculars and you have a really high, great functioning family, that could be done. But because we also have these things, we have life to deal with, it does take a long time. And so it can seem never ending. But I think the big message I want to share is that it can be done. And going back to that comic I saw a few years back with that miner close to the gold mine, it really is. I mean, especially if you've already dedicated so much time to it, you may as well just see it through. Just see it through. And to give up, it's one of the most depressing things I think of all of this stuff is like, you see people and it doesn't happen. It's not like, I've met thousands of people where this has happened, but the handful of people I have seen it happen to, it's really sad because they're trying really hard, and they're learning all this stuff and they're doing all this stuff. But family responsibilities, and a lot of time, to be perfectly honest, a lot of times it's family drama, um, gets in the way. And I don't want to sound glib about it, but it is a distraction. If your mindset is focused on learning development and you have these family problems, then it's a big distraction away from what you're trying to do. And some people just, they say, you know what, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to go back to my old job. And it's, maybe that is the way it's meant to happen for some people. That's like their fate or their destiny or whatever. But it's, yeah, from my perspective, from an outsider anyway, seeing it, and spending all that time and just going back to the old job or the old 9 to 5 is, so it's disappointing, not disappointing. I mean, it is disappointing, but it's I feel sad for that person because there was so much time invested and heart and soul, honestly. Mahmoud, what's going on? Said, I made many cool projects, including Amazon and Spotify clones, but still getting rejected. I don't know what the problem is, but I never thought of giving up. Awesome. That's good. Good energy. Um, if I know you're not trying to solicit advice, but if anyone else is in that situation as Mahmoud, um, try and customize your clones. Try and customize your projects, just to give them your own personal spin. Carlos Coustier says, just graduated with computer engineering last May. Congrats, Carlos. Became unmotivated because of the pandemic. Finally becoming motivated to learn web development. Your channel is awesome. I appreciate that comment. And yeah, oh, that's the other thing. The big elephant in the room. This freaking Rona has really, I mean, do we even need to discuss it? I don't even know what to say about it. Developers, it's crazy. People are crazy and times are strange. There's a lot to get us down. I mean, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Doomsday, but there's a lot to get us down. There's a lot to get us down out there. It's just you got to keep your eye on the prize, though. Seriously. Um, Candace says learning is a never-ending journey. So true. So true. I love it. That's one thing I just there I noticed something about myself like a few years ago when I have a really crummy day. Um, one of two things happened. One, I didn't laugh that day. If I can't get a laugh at least one time in my day, I have like a really bad day and it just seems dreary. Two, if I didn't learn anything, it could be a combo move on my dusty PS3. But if I didn't learn something, I just feel like, well, then what the day has been kind of just, eh. I mean, barring vacation days. Some days I just wanna hang out with buffalo in Wyoming. But, aside from those days, I do. I mean, I think it's human nature to wanna push forward. Um, and learning stuff every day is just yes, it gets you motivated too to do bigger and better things. All right, developers, listen, we have so many great comments here. I'm gonna go through a few more and then I'm gonna sign off. It's holy crap, it's 7:40. I've been here a long time. Just so many awesome people on and making comments. Dan L says, I have seen a lot of superficiality on recruiters, also where they do not know their domain. And as a result, they discarded great CVs just because they do not understand it and looking only by keywords. Oh, don't get me started with recruiters. I swear there's no vetting process whatsoever. Like, I sometimes I think, like, kindergartners could do a better job. I think kindergartners would be better to, like, go through the checklist when it comes to filtering candidates. These recruiters are, the type that I've dealt with, and they're just I'm sorry, but they don't know anything. They're spammers, they're scammers. They've approached me knowing nothing about me, even though my information at one time was public for them to just, I don't know, take 4 minutes to look over. It's really embarrassing for them. And there are some good recruiters out there, but you'll never hear about them because there's this army of like trashy recruiters who will just like settle for anything. Like this variety of recruiter I'm talking about is the type of person who stays sober at a bar until 2 a.m. and like offers to drive people of the opposite sex home. Like, am I gonna get canceled for saying that? What I'm saying is these people are predatory. They're predatory, and it's gotta stop. I mean, it's bad. And I wish there was some sort of training or something these recruiters could actually come in and take this training and do something with it. Do something with it because they're not helping anyone. Like, are they really even placing anybody? It's an awful, awful game. Let's see. Thais Gazardi says, in my case, besides studying programming, I need to study English because my mother tongue is Portuguese. Are you from where are you from Brazil? I just ask because, I've been obsessed with Brazilian music for, like, the past 2 months, and I can't stop listening to it. Uh, but yeah, that's another good point too. These international developers, um, they're just they have another hurdle because a lot of the documentation, a lot of the communities, are in English, and English is a tough language. Like, hearing it from other people where English is a second language, describing, the in English is like JavaScript, I feel like. There's so many just inconsistencies and things that can go wrong. It's just like, other languages are so much better. Like, why can't English be like Python? But it's another hurdle to, um, to get through. So, yes, from Brazil. Whoop, whoop. I wanna visit Brazil someday so bad. I just wanna go through and eat I just wanna have, like, an eating tour and just eat my way through Brazilian barbecue and everything amazing about Brazil. Ugh, so awesome. Anyways, developers, thanks for tuning in tonight. We had some great conversations. Um, if you'd like to, come join us on the Discord over at the Discord, Paradoodly Doo. Please pop a link. I wanna give a shout out to my channel members, especially, and my patrons, and people who are first time watchers. We have Donovan, Randy Miller, Candace, they're all channel members. Patrons, I know I need to have a list of my patrons, but thank you so much too for tuning in. As always, this is going to be awkward because I'm on Zoom and there's like a 20-second lag. But thanks so much. Curtis, good seeing you. Average Joe. RTC wants English to be like Esperanto. We could try it. Can we have like National English to Esperanto Day? Just try it. Just try it. All right. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you in the next video.